My name is Mike McLean, and today we're going to do a brief overview of the Microsoft OneDrive cloud storage service. The requirements for Microsoft OneDrive are that you must have a Microsoft account, and if you don't already have one, you can get that at account.microsoft.com. That does include 5 gigabytes of free storage, and you can upgrade to 100 gigabytes of storage for $1.99 a month or $19.99 per year. A couple of other alternatives is you can sign up for OneDrive for Business. That provides 1 terabyte of storage per user, and plans for that start at $5 a month per user. Or you could get a Microsoft 365 personal subscription that provides 1 terabyte of storage at $6.99 per month or $69.99 per year. Or you can get a Microsoft 365 family subscription, which provides 1 terabyte storage for each of up to 6 family members, and that's $9.99 per month or $99.99 per year. And now let's take a look and see how Microsoft OneDrive works. If you have Windows 10 or above, you very likely already have OneDrive installed in your system. If not, it can be downloaded from Microsoft. You'll see it on your system tray as the small cloud icon. If I hover over it, it says OneDrive Personal Up to Date. If you do have to install it the first time, then it will run you through a small setup. Let's take a look at the configuration. If I click on this once, it brings up this control screen. First, let's look at the configuration menu, where I'm going to go into Settings at the little gear in the upper right and see what that's got for me. It has several options. I'm going to look at Settings. And that brings up a Settings dialog tab. The first thing it tells me is that my account is tied to my personal email address and how much of my storage I'm actually using. It also gives me the opportunity to unlink this PC from the cloud service. It allows me to choose which folders are available on this PC. And these are the folders that I have available from Microsoft OneDrive that I can get to from this PC. And it has an option for setting a timeout for the Personal Vault. The Personal Vault is a special folder that OneDrive has on your system. It is an encrypted folder that uses multi-factor authentication in order to protect itself. The idea is that even if someone hacks into your Microsoft account and can get to your folders, you can have your very sensitive information in the Personal Vault and they still won't be able to get to it. What Microsoft had in mind for this was things like perhaps a digital copy of your passport, property deeds, a wedding certificate, things along these lines. The thing to remember about the Personal Vault, though, is that anything that's placed into it is not synced automatically. So this is really for archival purposes. Looking at the other tabs available in this dialog box, I have the Settings tab, which mostly consists of different notification checkboxes. But the one thing I'm really interested in is this is where I could tell whether or not to start OneDrive automatically when I start up Windows. The other thing we're really interested in is where it says File on Demand. Save space and download files as you use them. The thing to remember is that up until the most recent iteration of OneDrive, OneDrive was PC-centric. That has changed in the most recent iteration. Now it is cloud-centric. It expects you that you're going to be using your files mostly in the cloud and not need them that much on your local PC. So in order to make that more efficient, File on Demand indicates that the files will be saved automatically in the cloud and it will only be downloaded to your local PC when you want to work on it. So then you don't have to have them on any of your multiple devices, your laptop, your desktop, your phone. It'll just be up in the cloud and it'll be downloaded as needed. And I'll talk about that a little bit more in a few minutes. Other options that are available to me are backup. I can automatically back up certain folders to OneDrive if I like. If I go to Manage Backup, here are the folders that will do by default: Desktop, Documents, and Pictures. I can also set it to automatically save photos and videos to OneDrive as I upload them to my PC, and I can set it to automatically save screenshots that I capture to OneDrive. The other tabs aren't all that vital to us today. Network is essentially if you're on a metered network. Office is if you want to do collaboration with others using OneDrive. This allows you to do that using Office applications to sync files that I open, and gives you an option for dealing with sync conflicts. This is actually a subject for a whole nother topic on collaboration. And the About tab gives you some good information. So that is the Setup tab. I'm going to cancel out of this and go back to my OneCloud Sync and click on that. And you can see that it indicates all the different files I've looked at recently. I'm going to open the folder and see what I've got. This is the folder for all the files that are on my local PC. And you'll notice I have several icons here under status that indicate different things. The cloud icon indicates that these are the files that are residing on the cloud. They're not on my local PC at this time. I haven't worked on them. The green circle with the green check mark in it is interesting. That indicates that there's a file that I've been working on locally. I downloaded it from the cloud automatically to do work on it. Here is the thing you need to remember about this. As I've worked on it, it's going to stay on my local PC for the time being. Except this has the possibility of being a temporary file. It's an actual file, don't get me wrong, it's not a .tmp file like you see for Windows. But as far as Windows is concerned, it doesn't need to keep it here. If I were to run disk cleanup, then Windows would treat this like a temporary file and delete my local copies, because it knows I have master copies up on the cloud server. If I want to change that, I can right-click on a file or a folder, and I can choose Always Keep on this device. And if I choose that, it goes through, and you can see that it just changed all of these to a green circle with the check mark. Now, these are all permanently on my device. They do not treat them as ephemeral. And of course, you'll see I have the little double arrows here indicating that I've changed something locally. It has not synced up to the cloud yet. And finally, I have the icon here of a little guy indicating that I have actually shared these files, or a file in here, with someone else. So I was collaborating with somebody else on some of these files earlier. So these are the files that are local to me. Now here's one issue though that could come up. In order to save a file onto OneDrive, I need to bring it in to these folders. These folders exist on my C drive. OneDrive automatically installs on my C drive under my username and a OneDrive folder. So in order to work on a file, I need to bring it in here. That puts it on my C drive. Well, what happens if I have an external hard drive that has, like, shall we say, 500 gigabytes of photos that I'd like to back up to OneDrive? I have a 1 terabyte OneDrive. That's no problem. I can do that. However, my C drive is only 256 gigabytes because it's an SSD drive. It's used mostly for boot and not for sharing. So what do I do about that? There is a workaround here. I'm going to close this for the moment. And I'm going to open up my OneDrive thing here again. And you can see that I told it to save all those files. It's happily downloading them all now. I can go to View Online here in the center. And this gives me my cloud server view of all the files I have. And you'll see up here, I actually have an upload button. So I can use this to upload files directly from my external hard drive to the cloud and bypass the C drive. Here's the caveat about that, however. If I do this, the files I upload this way will not be synced. If I change them on my external hard drive, they will not be changed here. Only the files that are on the C drive are synced. So that's something to be aware of. There is one other option or thing to be aware of. And that is, I'm going to bring up my one folder again. You'll see my documents folder here. Be aware that this documents folder exists under my OneDrive folder. This is not the same as the Windows Documents folder that I have available in Windows. So for example, if I open this, here are my documents folders. If I actually open my Windows File Explorer and go to Documents, I see these are not the same. So that tends to confuse some people, so be aware of that the Windows document folder and the OneDrive document folder are not necessarily the same thing. Well, this concludes the brief overview of Microsoft OneDrive. I'm Mike McLean.